Here we see left lower extremity of the distal foot only, where it's not showing up in any views other than the medial dorsal aspect of the foot. Here's a region where we see primarily a change in the posterior leg and calf. And again, just always refer to your color bar, your palette bar. Each color is 1 degree centigrade change. They're supposed to be the same. Okay, well, if we are able to start tracking things, so for example, I know from a sclerotome that the fibulothalus, a special pain person where you can actually put cold on them. It's a sympathetic response, but cold actually helps. They're allodynic. You touch them, they give you a painful response to a non-painful stimulus. It's due to an axon reflux, a backfiring of the C fiber, and the underlying mechanism or voltage gate is the calcium-dependent potassium channel. There's also something called the triple C syndrome, where you get cold hyperesthesia. Cold is excessively painful. It's always a localized, triple C is always localized and distal in a region in particular. It can be in the face, but it will always be in the hand or an elbow or in the foot. You have cold skin, and cold hurts. So when you put cold on them, they don't say that's cold, they say that's pain. That makes it the triple C syndrome. It's due to a different physiologic mechanism. It's due to a hyperexcitable, fast potassium voltage gate. This has a direct clinical impact on how you're going to treat your patient. And I don't care if it's Lyrica, if it's Savella, if it's Cymbalta. All of these drugs now are coming out and telling us about which voltage gate they work at. You now have a decision to decide which medication is going to work for that patient because you understand the physiology of what's wrong with them. Sodium is responsible for the all or none hyperexcitability. The fast potassium gate or channel is responsible for the hyperintensity of that voltage gate or hyperintensity of a response. The slow potassium gate is responsible for the rate of the response, and the calcium-dependent potassium gate is responsible for the accommodation of the response. So the thermographic impression documents the presence and distribution of vasomotor instability. It's your clinical impression that addresses the consistency with sympathetic dysfunction and the potential generators. The sympathetic system innervates all tissues of mesodermal and ectodermal origin. That means muscle, tendon, dura, fascia, disc, interosseous membrane. The video one that didn't work came to me, this lady came to me to rule out carpal tunnel. It was rule out carpal tunnel. This was her presentation. Her hand was blue, wet, cold, and this. She had a tear of the interosseous membrane. She was a knockout operator, quote unquote, at one of our local plants. What is a knockout operator? She took a hammer and she knocked out holes in carpeting so there was a place for the ashtray, for the overhead light. That's a southern term for a high-tech job. I'm a knockout operator, okay? She did not have carpal tunnel. All right, so in summary, thermal imaging is clinically relevant. It adds value in the diagnosis of vasomotor sympathetic pain syndromes. It objectifies the presence of vasomotor instability. It maps the distribution of vasomotor instability. It determines the type of vasomotor instability. It provides unique information and changes the plan of treatment. It's safe, it's non-invasive, it has no side effects. Oh, I still don't need it. I'm really good. I remember very well being guest professor at University of Florida, and the head of the anesthesia department says, oh, all I need to do is I can put a little temperature strip on this. This person has Raynaud's. It's clear as day. Well, I'm going to suggest to you history and physical alone are inadequate to make a diagnosis. Touch is not sensitive. Temperature strips offer only limited information. The stage of RSD and vasomotor status are known to be variable. If you didn't vasomotor map this patient, you would never have known that they had thoracic outlet, and no, they do not have Raynaud's. Thank you very much. Okay, we have about 5 or 10 minutes. If there's questions, we can have the panel come up, or we can go adjourn to the exhibit hall. We will start promptly again at 10:45. Jeff's got an announcement? Okay, so if I can have our speakers up to the front desk right now, Dr. Brioshki and Dr. Agarwal, and we can take any questions, or we can just have a bathroom break early. Oh, I was also told, like one of my talks is, I should be calling all my esteemed guest professors. And I asked, I think it was maybe Jeff one day, I said, they kept calling me Professor Schwartz. And so he goes, well, that's because professor is even better than a doctor. So all right. So, anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Why isn't the FDA on board with thermography?
FDA is on board with thermography, actually. The question is, that's a 2 or 3-fold question. The first thing is, FDA doesn't, this is a medical device, so we can ask the question, are you relating it to, does the FDA believe that the medical device is safe, proven, and effective? That's question 1. Second question you can ask is, as it relates to a reimbursement issue, can I get paid because I have proof of federal guidelines that it's acceptable? It's actually 2 questions, so did you mean both or one?
Well, I'm talking about recently Dr. Mercola in Chicago. The FDA is coming down on him pretty hard. What is he doing that is not in line with what the FDA sees as a mission for thermography?
Okay, so I can't comment on his case because I actually don't know it, but I can tell you that if you want to be reimbursed for thermal imaging in the United States, there is a code for skin temperature measurement. It pays almost nothing. You have to do a sympathetic skin response study and autonomic challenge test. Now, I don't know whether or not he's doing that or not, or whether or not he's following AAT guidelines.
I have a question for Dr. Agarwal. In our lab, we do post-sympathetic block IR imaging, and we found over the years that you can determine whether you've got a complete or incomplete block. I wonder if you found that same experiment and if it's been helpful.
I'm going to be talking about the sympathetic blocks and the thermal imaging in my next talk, so maybe you can put that back and answer it then. Okay, thanks.
That's it? Okay, well let's take a bathroom break then. The exhibit hall will be